Hello and welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life Show. I'm your host, Angela Marie Williams. As an entrepreneur and success coach, my mission is to empower you to realize your dreams and potential through transformational experiences. The purpose of this show is to inspire your positive change by learning from a community of those paving the way to a bigger, braver life. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are on episode 3. So exciting. Today, I have Jan with me. I'm so excited for her. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Jan, and tell us about yourself and your work and your gift and your purpose in this world.
Well, yes, my name is Jan, and I have an unofficial middle name, and that is J.O.Y. Friends, colleagues, and even clients often call me J.O.Y. inadvertently because I guess I can humbly say I am the embodiment of it, because really ever since I came into this world, I knew that there was something more. I mean, I'm literally and figuratively backed by rainbows, but that doesn't mean life is always happy, happy, joy, joy. And so, personally, I am on the mission of the vision of a joy-led world. And how I go about that, though, is living and demonstrating being gracious in the not joy, speaking to the not joy, and teaching and coaching my own clients through the challenges of the not joy, which I believe is the contrast, to discover and explore and discern your true joy light and essence and desires and visions. And I have truly made it my life mission to both live, breathe, and demonstrate it at home in my family. I'm happily married and have 2 gorgeous children. In fact, it's one of my children's birthdays today. My daughter's 12 and my son turned 10 on 2 days ago. So it's happy holidays to us. But that's also where I knew this was a perfect time to come in and, connect with you and talk about bigger and a braver life, because to live in your true joy essence, you do require to be bigger and braver, because as I teach and live and breathe joy, it's an acronym for just own you. No one else can live your expression, live your embodiment, live your truth in what it is to be joy, and live your path. And to navigate that path and go out it is requiring a bigger version of you, a braver version of you, because there is no path pre-paved per se. Whew, a lot of P's. For you to be in your biggest expression in this life as your highest version of yourself. So I have been at this formally for 13 years now, but really, I have memories of sitting in the sandbox next to a little buddy and always wanting to uplift them. So
so that really came to you early on. How very cool.
Yeah, I always knew I was always passionate about people and loved on them. And my first professional vocation was actually that of an alpine ski instructor, where I uplifted and taught and inspired on the slopes in Aspen. And I actually now live in Jackson Hole. And I have to tell you, it is dumping snow outside. It is beautiful. It is a winter wonderland, and just more of a reflection of the abundance and beauty and magic that we're getting to bring and co-create here. So
that is really, really cool. I actually grew up in Michigan, so I am used to the snow, but now I'm in Florida because I appreciate the warmth more. But yes, but we are so excited to have you on, Jen. I'm excited to ask you more questions. So I love that you touched on coming into this larger expression of yourself and being brave in that. And for those of you who are new here in the Bigger, Braver Life Show world, my name is Angela. I am a success coach, your Bigger, Braver Life coach, supporting you in getting the higher level, achieving your dreams and your bigger calling in your life and career. And I think Jan is such a great complement to all of the things that we've been talking about here. I think a lot of our listeners are wanting something more for their life, something bigger. And sometimes that's scary and that's overwhelming. That's a challenge we talk about a lot is it's overwhelming and we don't know where to start. Sometimes we're stuck. So talk to me a little bit about if you feel called to have a bigger expression of yourself, what may be the first step that you might take to get there?
Yeah, great question. And, you know, it's kind of non-conventional, but the first step is acknowledging you're not there.
Yeah.
Like, first step is really acknowledging, wow, I really want this desire. And it's like, but I'm not there. And in my world, I really believe in the power of mindfulness blended with joy. Because for me, mindfulness, super simple definition and explanation is present moment awareness. And that's where you get honest. Like, this is where I want, and that bigger, brighter, better vision is like the destination, simple terms, the GPS.
Yes, exactly.
And recognizing when you get in your car and you type in the, coordinates of where the heck you want to go, that big, bright, beautiful vision, whatever it is, it's yours to live. And we both know that it's yours to pursue. It's not just to long after.
Right.
And we got to acknowledge where we are. And sometimes we're in a neighborhood we don't want to be. Yeah. And that can be excruciatingly painful at times. And I have numerous stories. We'll see which ones organically arise here today. But I have numerous stories of being in a place in my life where I was like, I don't want to flip and be here. Right. But you have to be here to be able to get out of it.
Right.
And that's where, right away I said, look, being in full joy expression is about recognizing when you're in the not joy and recognizing that is contrast to where it is that you want to go, to understanding that it's like, wow, I really want that thing, that experience, that impact, especially right as leaders and business and entrepreneurs and even as family people. Like, I spend so much time just thinking about creating my kids' birthdays. Yes. Because I want them to have an experience. And so step one, look at where you're at and look at what's like not working. And then also look at what is working. Like, oh, some of these things are working that I'm doing. And then start to look at where are some modifications. But for me, start to look at also what lights me up. What brings me joy? Because the reason I am such a passionate being and I am a joy advocate and like here to like preach the joy message is because joy is a level of consciousness almost to enlightenment. It's not just about feeling good. Because look, we want to feel good, right? Like we do want to feel good because it's like easier to deal with. Right. But the truth is when you are in joy consciousness, it's like, I like to describe the elevator of consciousness. When you're at the level of joy, you're looking around and you're like, wow, things look good. I see the brightness. I can see for miles. I'm at a level where I'm more connected, creative, innovative, imaginative, but you're also more attractive to people, opportunities, and ideas that are going to serve you. And then here's the best part. You're also less attractive and even energetically repel things that you don't want. Unwanted experiences, like this is where you drive down the road and all of a sudden you see in your rear view mirror, like an accident behind you. And you're like, holy cow. And I mean, have you had that? I mean, I'm sure I'm inviting everyone listening to consider like a moment in your life where you realize, wow, I avoided like something major.
Dodged a bullet. Yep.
This is what happens when you're in that joy energy, because when you get off on the level on the elevator of consciousness of joy, you're not at the lower level of super duper sucky circumstances.
Right.
Now, here's the thing, stuff still happens. Right. Last week we had a dishwasher fire. And it was
wild.
I know. And like, I'm just going to pull that out as an experience. Like, I didn't create that. No, that wasn't on my radar or my level of consciousness, but because I was at the higher level of consciousness, I was better enabled to relate to that challenging circumstance and even joke with the fire chief on the phone when he said, "What else can I do to support you?" And I said, "Can you help me get another dishwasher?" And he said, "Well, actually, my wife just ordered a new one for us. Let me find out where she went, because right now, supply chain, it's really hard to get appliances and all these things."
Right.
Dishwasher arriving today, less than a week.
Wow, that's amazing.
So this is where you create an outcome that is better than expected.
Right.
When you actually stubbornly, and I'm going to say it stubbornly, hold true to wanting to feel better.
Yeah.
And it's that's where I match the mindfulness with the joy, because it's like, where am I at? Okay, what's my next step and what's going to bring me joy? A little bit of humor on the phone with the fire chief brought me a solution. Like, I wouldn't have created that. I could not manufacture that. And my clients and I joke about it all the time. I'm like, I can't manufacture this.
Right.
But me being in my joy has this outcome of truly a miraculous path. And so these beautiful audience members of yours listening, as we're thinking about this idea of that bigger, brighter dream, it is paving your yellow brick road,
Right.
with mindful joy. One present moment thought at a time, and looking for what's that little path that's going to light up. What's that next step that brings me joy? And look, even if you're in an unpleasant circumstance and experience and reality right now, just looking for a little bit of a glimmer of something humorous or a little glimmer of hope can help you move forward.
I agree.
And it makes all the difference. Like, if we have time, I have a story about that specifically, but I just want to kind of stop there because I went on a rant.
I love this. I have lots of questions, and hopefully your story can answer some too. I work with clients with big dreams, and we have this higher level vision. We have this dream in mind, this vision in mind. And, like you said, and this is my personal experience too, it's like I knew there was a calling. I always knew there was this calling, and trying to kind of really get clarity on what that was for me. It was always, I wanted to own my own business and work with clients one-on-one and all of those type of things. But it felt like I couldn't choose that because I had to go this way and get the education, and then I had to go get experience, and then I had to go, do all these things, maybe particularly off my path. But I was committed. I look at that yellow brick road analogy and I'm like, yeah, we have to get back on the yellow brick road to be able to get to that higher level calling or dream, but was able to have an awareness of finding myself in situations or relationships that, whether that's work or, romantic relationships, that were like, this is not a good fit after a while, right? Like trying really hard, spinning the wheels. And it's like, this is not a good fit. And then when we get into that, sometimes we can get stuck in a rut, and then we start to doubt ourselves or our ability, and then we start to burn out, and that sucks. Talk about suck up joy, right? Suck our energy and take our energy. And I love that you talk about joy so much, because I think it's kind of like one of those obvious things that we don't think about. But I just countlessly have talked to my clients too about, okay, so we're working on solving all these problems, these mindset issues. We're working to, remove some barriers, but like, what are you doing for fun? So it's like, what are you doing to bring that element of playfulness and movement and energy? I love that. And I'd love for you to expand a little bit for folks that maybe are newer to the whole energy and abundance calling in, and the happiness, the energy pieces. And when I say newer, when I was coming up on my journey, I was very more so tactical, and have been moving into more of the spiritual or energy type of conversations and messaging. So I'd love for you to expand a little bit more on that.
Absolutely. Because like the first thing that's coming to mind is, as everyone's kind of listening into my response here, is we've all heard the phrase, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I want to start in response of it's the energy you bring. Like in simplest forms in communication, it's widely known, for example, in the speaking industry, that it's only 6 to 7% of the words you're saying. It's 93 to 94% of who you're being in those words.
Yeah. Wow.
the energy you bring to what you're saying.
Mhm.
And we all know it. I mean, what's really, I think, exciting right now in this world is that, people are becoming more astute and more savvy. And especially with the whole online world, especially when it really exploded, and people were more and more are having access to beautiful photos and beautiful communications, and there's this kind of illusion of looking good and feeling good and all these things. We are more and more savvy to understanding that it's like, I don't feel like something's missing, and I don't notice this. I can't speak to it, but what you have clearly gotten to, and I learned quite early on, is just doing all the things is not going to get you there.
Right.
And it's a matter of looking at that experience, and like I kind of started off already saying, like, it's joy that moves forward in that vehicle. That's the vehicle and the fuel that will get you to that destination. Because the truth is, even if you get to the result, and I'm sure everybody listening has done this before, it's like, just want to get it done. Well, it's not as satisfying.
Right.
And it's probably not as sustaining. What I do know, especially watching and being in this industry for as long as I have, it's not sustainable to just do the do.
Right.
You've got to be it too. And we didn't come into this world, into this life, just to get something done.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't do that. Like, I actually truly believe we came in for the sole purpose of joy, to experience this life. And I've in fact used to teach, not even that long ago, I would say this, that we came in to experience joy and happiness, to learn and to grow.
Yeah.
But guess what? When you're in your joy, it's organic that you learn and grow, because you're curious about things. You have wonder. You get excited to go out and see what this thing called snow is, right? I don't know. There's actually people who've never seen snow,
right? Right.
And to be in that expression of like, wow, what is this thing? What is this? Like, wow, the wonders of life. There's so many beautiful, magical things in this life that we can explore and experience. And again, it's that getting into that energy of joy that gets us into that consciousness that will actually move forward. And I have a very simple system, process, framework that I live and teach through. But of course, it gets dynamic and sophisticated. I'm so excited. Tripping over.
I love it.
But it gets sophisticated and dynamic, of course, in upper and deeper levels, because who we are as beings, spiritual beings, are extremely dynamic and beautiful and magical. And the self-exploration process gets to be very exciting. But on the simplest terms, my system and process is called the happiness prism.
Ooh, I love that. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like this prism that I'm holding up. I know some people might just be listening, but the idea is a prism in which, when you shine light through prism, basic physics, you get a rainbow.
Right.
You get a rainbow. And we are all energy beings. I mean, that's a scientific fact. We're all energy beings. And when we are lit up and we radiate and we are optimized, we can radiate rainbows out into the world. And that's what I believe is our impact, our influence, our contribution to this.
How beautifully put. And I think if you're not as familiar with the energy pieces, and that's a really great analogy. I love that so much. I think back to a previous experience, and I worked with many clients who have been in a place of burnout, and they've gotten to a point where they've put somebody else's needs or an organization's needs ahead of their own. I speak to individuals who maybe have an entrepreneurial calling, but also who have more of a leadership in, like you said, in their home or in their workplace. Can you tell us some stories about how people have been able to, in any environment, really step into joy and really elevate their energetic presence and experience in order to impact others? Because I think when we're on that side of burnout, it feels like there is no gas in the tank. And what are you talking about? It's like, I am so far away from that. So can you, tell us more about that?
Yeah. Well, and it is so profound because I've found a lot of times we kind of have to hit the bottom,
Yeah.
wake up,
Yeah.
and with so much love. Like one of the concepts I teach you is I call it the deep end of happiness or deep end of joy. And for you to expand your capacity for more joy and happiness, you wouldn't want to go on the high dive and dive into the shallow end of the pool or the cliff, right?
Right.
And so what we do inadvertently, and the universe, source energy, whatever you want to call that, kind of collaborates with us and provides us with an opportunity to find out the depths. And whether it comes in the form of burnout or disease or debt or divorce or depression, what I call the major Ds, it's super sucky, of course, and it gets to serve us, as I like to say, and I'm sure you've heard and used yourself, that life is happening for us, and it's an opportunity to realize there's a different way to approach this. And so the story I have for you is actually a personal experience where I was going about it and doing it all and being it all, and I'm mom of now a 6-week-old and a 2-year-old, and coaching and doing all the things. And I was very much focused on like executive coaching, life coaching, like coach through it, change your thoughts, rah rah rah. Well, I find myself in a hospital room with my 6-week-old son. They think it's cancer.
Wow.
And it's like, I didn't plan this. I did not plan this. This is not part of my, birth plan. This was not part of my business plan. This was not part of what we were planning.
Right.
And here we are with this, like, it might be cancer. And I have a 6-week-old baby. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And this was actually the first time, to speak to your energy question. This was the first time that I realized I couldn't coach my way out of this. I couldn't think a new thought to change this right now.
Right.
And this was actually when I realized I have to ask for help and kind of speak into the nothing and say, help. Right. And this was the first night when I was in the hospital room with my son. I'm being the breastfeeding mom, had to be with him. My husband was home with our 2-year-old. And at the time we actually lived in the Florida Keys, and we were at the Miami Children's, and we were 2 hours away from each other. It was own in the circumstance. I mean, I had him, but he's a cute little baby. And I just remember going, oh my gosh, there's something else here. And I went to bed, of course, in tears and freaked out, and, kind of inviting anyone listening to kind of translate this to what's your version of this, that rock bottom, that burnout, that like, how do I get the heck out of this?
Right.
But one thing I know for myself in this moment is this is not how his story ends. And this is not how my story ends as his mom. But how the heck do we get out of this? Well, I knew I had to go to sleep. And of course, the next morning, waking up to this nightmare, tears, upset, all these things. But I'm also like, I got to be a leader here. My son needs me to advocate for him, but I'm like a blubber mess. And I just remember I need to eat. I'm a breastfeeding mom. I need to eat. Right. And I'm thinking, well, great, I need to eat. I don't have supplies for food, but I can order off the menu. And there's, here we are. So I open the menu. It's a children's hospital. And I look down, and through my tears, I realize I can order Fruit Loops.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And the first thought is, I can't order Fruit Loops. Right. That is so not nutritional for me. That is so not nutritional for him. And then this larger voice came in and it said, you need nutrition for your soul.
Ooh, yes.
Your joy. And I thought, okay, then I'm going to order these Fruit Loops. And this moment has now come to be known as the Fruit Loop moment.
I love that.
But I ordered Fruit Loops, laughed through my tears, and delighted in the colors, so not natural, swirling in the milk, so not anyway.
Right.
And I had this mini moment for me and my joy, not because it was going to get answers, not because it was going to do anything else but nourish my need to boost my spirits, to boost my joy.
Right.
And that's the first side of the happiness prism, is what I call play. Play is the energy of what I describe as joy in motion.
Yes.
And there's no other agenda other than to get into joy.
Yeah.
To play, to move, to be in a space of joy for the sake of joy.
Yeah.
And consequently, I honored that every day, many times a day. But then I also moved through the other aspects of the happiness prism, which I will share with you right now, of peace, which I define as prayer in motion. And look, it's not religious.
Sure.
It's about tuning into that inner aspect of you, because I believe there is a guru in every one of you, every one of us.
Yes.
So we have life that has come at us. It's, there's a whole other discussion, but we were programmed away from our own intuition at a young age, because it's hard to control people when they're like tuning into themselves.
Exactly.
It's easy to deal with conformity. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And yet, when we tune into that aspect of ourselves through peace, which for me in the hospital was prayer, and by the way, this is the first time I have to say I ever really prayed, was meditation, was breath work, was taking a gorgeous shower. Peace can be all sorts of things.
Right.
And then progress is the third side of the prism. So it's just these three energies. And progress is purpose in motion. So for me in this scenario, it was have the tough conversations with the doctors. It was make the tough decisions as what is the next step. Well, I honored play first, lead with play, peace, then progress, the three sides of the happiness prism ongoingly. And then ultimately after 12 conscious, excruciating, mindful, joyful, and not so joyful at times days, we got out of this cancer experience, this cancer scare, with a medical mystery diagnosis.
Wow.
And ultimately the doctor said he is a medical miracle.
Wow.
And he is now a 10-year-old thriving boy, have never had issues with this since. And realizing that it was me staying present. It was me honoring the energy. It was me taking the time for him. The irony is I still coached clients while I was in the hospital.
Wow.
I have to say the version of myself now would cancel the clients.
Sure, right. Live and learn. Yes.
But at the time too, I realized it also helped me, because as I was coaching them, I was also reminding myself of focus on what you have control over, focus on your energy, focus on giving yourself time to release the anguish, the upset, the raw, whatever it is of like, dang, this is not where I want to be. And, kind of coming back to your initial question of burnout. I mean, I described this experience of the hospital, and there will be a book about this, but I described it as the big fat surrender. And when you hit burnout, you've got to surrender to whatever that is. And whether it's burnout in the form of your professional vocation, whether it's in the form of, relationship fizzling out, whether it's like your bank account hit something, because that's a whole other story, but we've cleared 7 figures of debt over here. And understanding that when you hit that moment of whatever form it is of manifestation, you are being invited to surrender.
Yes.
To tune into something more and better. There is something bigger, better, brighter, and yes, you need to be braver to pursue it. But there is something bigger and better for you that I promise you're being invited into looking at a different way, because the way you've gone about this up until now is not going to fulfill upon that bigger vision.
Absolutely.
And that's what that wake-up call for me was in my experience with my son. I mean, I could tell you there's so many lessons inside of that.
Right.
I was trying to hit the ground running with 2 kids. And I didn't know how to do that. And there's no way I could have done that. And I was giggling so many times of having these quiet moments with my son that I wouldn't have gotten, that we're snuggling. And I'm like, I'm on to you, buddy. I'm on to you, little dude. I know you just want some more time. That was part of this. And thank you, thanking him. And part of that for everyone too, when you're in that burnout, as hard as might seem and crazy, I invite you to thank it. Thank it for having you come to this realization, because here's the thing, you're in burnout, and yes, it's happening for you. But everyone else involved in this situation, whether it's the professional people, it's the clients, it's the bosses or the downstream, whatever version of this is, or family members, this is happening to everyone for them too.
Right.
It wasn't just my son who had cancer scare. It was happening for me. It was happening for my husband. It was happening for his sister. It was happening for all the people that prayed for us that maybe never prayed before too. It was all of it, because this is an intersection of life that everyone is being invited into a different way. And the only way forward is looking for the little joys. I mean, I know that we brought hope to everyone in the cancer wing. There were nurses that would come and sit with us, sit with me, to talk to me about what we're doing. Like, how is this child not slipping into further desperation? He's actually getting better and we don't know why.
Right.
And I would have parents from other cancer kids and hematology challenges come and ask me, what are you doing? And I would just share, I'm just looking for the little joys. I'm just looking for the Fruit Loop moments to keep my spirits lifted. Yes. And move forward bit by bit. That, we were kind of both using the analogy of the yellow brick road. Even when we're off the yellow brick road, we're still in the vicinity of it. Right. And I just want to encourage everyone that even when you slip into it seems like you're off-roading here, because we all do it and we need to. That's where we learn. It's still part of the journey. Yes. And while my entrepreneurial journey has been 13 years, I will tell you, it has been a lot of off-roading. And now, only now, can I see in hindsight with such appreciation how much I've learned and grown through the off-roading to come to this space of, oh my gosh, now these visions of speaking engagements are coming. Now these opportunities are coming. Because now I am ready in a space that I hadn't been ready for. Right. And my family is at a maturation that they are also ready to be in this with me too. It's so fascinating. That's the other thing I felt kind of called to speak to with your clients with a bigger, brighter vision. As I like to say, you can't put a time stamp on a vision. You can have your goals, you can have your intentions, you can have your trajectory. Yes. But you actually don't know really what type of lessons and opportunities you're going to have along the way to grow, so that vision is even bigger and brighter and more impactful and more influential and more of a contribution to greater humanity that you all know you came here to make. Wow.
You touched on a lot of things that I share with my clients too. What a testament to having a bigger vision, but to be able to roll with the way that life, the flexibility, right? We talk about flexibility a lot because that's so important. And be able to, like you called it, surrender and listen and be available to the lessons and the opportunities. That's so important. And touching on that timeline thing, I don't know how many, probably everybody that I work with or talk to, there's some sort of timeline scenario where it's like, I'm not as far as I feel like I should be by now. So I love that you bring attention to that. But the true piece of this is that you were able to keep your energy in a place that was going to be helpful, not only for you, but like you said, that ripple effect, that humongous ripple effect that this situation brought to, I mean, I'm sure you had no idea that it would touch so many lives and so many people. Our initial instinct would probably be to panic. You know, your son is like in danger, essentially. So it's like this panic, but that doesn't allow us to function in a space that we need to really do the things we need to do. And you were able to influence and impact other people in such a large way. What a testament to being brave and stepping up to that challenge and that situation and listening to your bigger calling and your purpose in that moment. That is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And the other piece too, with the gratitude, you know, that is something that I also share with my clients. It's practicing gratitude on a daily basis for not just the things that we have, but the things that missed us, that weren't for us, that we may have thought were for us, the opportunities, the lessons. Sometimes we get really hard on ourselves and think, you know, oh, I messed up or I failed. But really, it's how can we turn that around and be so grateful for these learning opportunities? And I agree with you. We don't get to a higher place without having a lot of these challenges, or like you say, hitting the bottom sometimes. Beautiful messaging. I'm so happy you were able to share all of that, Jan. That's so great. And I hope it's really inspirational for everybody listening, because it's being able to take the lemons and turn them into lemonade, if you will, and feed the community with it, right? It's just so inspiring to hear that, and that you've been able to really take that life experience and bless other people with the vision and the context for how you can do things in a way that's going to be so impactful for you, your family, everybody you touch. That's so amazing.
Thank you. Yes. Well, and I feel called to kind of like add on to all of this too, to remind everybody, as you're looking for this bigger vision, as you're reaching for this bigger expression that you know is inside of you, that, you know, in the example of my son, like now in hindsight, I know it was 12 days, but every day I was like, what's it going to be? But I held fast stubbornly, like with so much love and devotion and conviction. This is not how a story ends. We all get out of here alive and thriving.
Yes.
How? I don't know. How long it's going to take to get out of here? I don't know. And then what's it going to look like? Because there was follow-up. I mean, there's longer story, but to remind everyone, whatever that thing is that's like bubbling inside of you, that it's like, what if I, you know, like, oh my gosh, like, I know there's so much more. And like you said, you know, I wish I should be further along or whatever. Like, my invitation to everyone is to take a breath, pause and pat yourself on the back and say, I've come a long way. Acknowledge so much for yourself and appreciate the lessons and the blessings, as I say, what have come up and even the challenges. And then look back to that big vision and say, I'm on my way.
Yes.
I don't know fully how, I don't know fully when, but I'm on my way. And then my invitation is look for the Fruit Loop moments. What are the little things along the way that you can laugh at, that you can enjoy, that you can giggle, and that you can appreciate to keep your spirits boosted? Because no one else can claim your joy and make your joy a priority but you.
Right.
But that's what's your greatest renewable resource available to you at all times.
Yes.
And if you keep fueling yourself from there, I promise you, you're going to get more and more glimmers and realizations, actualizations of that vision of yours.
Yes. Agreed.
And it's going to happen. But keep leaning in. So yeah.
I love that, Jan. Thank you. Yes. And I've heard many a coach, many a mentor say, you know, create the vision, even if it's big, even if it's scary, even if it's overwhelming, even if you don't know how, put it out there. The how will come along the way. So we can plan and we can create and do the best we can to put our best steps forward. And that's amazing. And we can also know that opportunities, the universe can conspire for us, and the opportunities can come.
Absolutely.
Jan, that is so amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. So tell us more about how folks can reach you and get in contact with you or work with you if they feel so called.
Awesome. So probably the easiest is just go to my website. There's a bunch of links there. I even have a Joy Jumpstart chat that if anyone wants to hop on for complimentary 30 minutes, but it's JANHOATH.com. So it's my name, janhoath.com. We can connect there. I also have a Facebook group and other fun things, but hop on over there and or private message me. I mean, I love to connect with people. I love to be a contribution in whatever way, whether we work together or not. Like, I'm just so thrilled to bring more of this joy conversation to the world. And we didn't actually get into it, but one of the other things that I speak to is really living a no regrets life. Yes. And that message and mission that you're on, which I so appreciate, of the bigger, braver, when you pursue that and honor that, then you know that you're living in no regrets.
Absolutely.
Because if you're pursuing it, you're honoring it, whatever that is, then you do know that you're going to get to the end of this life and be like, wow, I did it. And I'm so committed to everyone who is willing to let me love on them.
Yes.
To, honor their no regrets life, look for their fruit loop moments and experience the joy you deserve and are meant to have as you fulfill your bigger, braver life.
I love that. Thank you, Jan. And I do want to share with you too, since we connected in I think it was through Laura's marketing group that, joy felt like something that, especially coming out of, burnout, was kind of like, you get a vacation or it's structured or, sometimes you have it. But really learning from your messaging, I've really incorporated a lot more of that in with my clients. And so I just want to tell you about your ripple effect, even in a proximal way, right? So thank you so much for being you and sharing that joy. It truly radiates from you. And y'all, if you are wanting to work with Jan, I highly recommend it. She's amazing. So we'll put her contact information here. And thank you so much, Jan. And we look forward to talking with you again in the future.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And so much love to everyone. Yeah, go look for your joy. And I promise you, so much awaits you.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you, Jan. And for everyone listening, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and drop me a comment, drop Jan a comment, and we will see you in the next episode. All right. Take care.
Bye, everyone.